So we now have this competition to this 3.5 hour activity. So there was a considerable competition between these two groups, the Paris group and the Berlin group, working on the trans-uranium puzzle. So the Berlin group repeated their measurements, however they could not find any trace of thorium. They informed Curie about their negative result, leading to Curie and Savage retracting their thorium result. So after more tests, Curie and Savage found this 3.5 hour activity to behave more like actinium. This was not considered unlikely by others. ये थोड़ा चिंताजनक था because it would require an emission of alpha particle on neutron bombardment, which is highly improbable because of the Coulomb barrier. Curie and Savage reported in May 1938 that the chemical properties of the 3.5 hour entity are those of lanthanum and could be separated only by means of fractionation. The Paris group could not firmly identify this activity with lanthanum, and in their publication they maintained that, so I'll read it out for you, quote unquote. It appears therefore that this substance can only be a transuranic element with properties very different from those of other known transuranic elements. Though these findings of the Paris group raised considerable criticism in Berlin, yet it accelerated the efforts of Strassmann and Hahn for sure. So in the meanwhile, Lise Meitner, who had Jewish ancestry, worked at Kaiser Wilhelm Institute until July 1938, when she was forced to flee from the Nazis for Holland without a visa and then to Sweden. She had tried to hang on to her position as long as possible, but when it became clear that she would be in danger, she left immediately with just 2 small suitcases. She took a position at Stockholm at the Nobel Institute for Physics and kept up her correspondence with Strassmann and Hahn, who continued with the experiments at Berlin. So they communicated the results of their joint research through the exchange of letters in the same way that Hahn and Meitner used to do during the war period during First World War. The great tragedy for Meitner's scientific career was that she had to leave Berlin just before the final race for the solution of the trans-uranium puzzle. From 1935 to 1938, Hahn, Meitner and Strassmann had published several articles on trans-uranium elements. So Strassmann speculated that this 3.5 hour activity could be an isotope of radium. So he decided to separate out this activity, employing refined chemical analysis that resulted in much lower contaminations. Hahn reasoned that the formation of radium was the result of the successive emission of 2 alpha particles. So as had Curie and Savage pointed out earlier, Hahn and Strassmann also found that the process leading to radium was significantly enhanced when slow neutrons were employed. So these 2 alpha decays were difficult to interpret energetically and therefore received immense criticism from Bohr, Meitner and Frisch. Now Otto Robert Frisch was nephew of Lise Meitner. When Hahn visited Meitner on November 13th, 1938 in Copenhagen, where she was spending a week in Bohr's institute. Although neither Bohr nor Meitner could provide any other explanation, they advised Hahn that from a physical point of view, this seems to be very improbable if not impossible. So all this forced Hahn and Strassmann to recheck their radium hypothesis again.